Today we'll be installing bid2x for DV360. First, let's create a new GCP project that we can deploy the solution into. We'll name it bid2x project-video test 1 and let it finish being created. Once the project completes, click Select Project to make it the active project. Now that the project has been created, let's activate the Cloud Shell. Currently, the only thing in the home directory within the shell are the README file that comes with the shell and a directory named old. We need to obtain the bid2x code from GitHub, and we do that with a gh command as shown. That loaded pretty quick. Now we can see there's a new bid2x subdirectory, and when we look inside it, we see the bid2x files. Let's temporarily close the Cloud Shell and go make a service account for use with this project. At the top of the page, click on Create Service Account and fill in the details. For this account, we'll just call it Service Account, and it will receive an ID email address of service account at projectname.iam.gserviceaccount.com. Click Done to move to the next screen. Click Create, and then click Done to see the finished service account that was created. Now click the three dots on the right-hand side and select Manage Keys. Click the Add Key button and select Create New Key, and then select a JSON type key. A JSON file containing the key will be automatically downloaded to your host machine. Looking at the file, we see it's a JSON document containing a private key. We'll keep this file in this spot for now, but eventually we'll want to put this file into the bid2x directory in our Cloud Shell. Now let's switch to another tab. This tab contains the template for the bid2x DV control sheet. Make a copy of this sheet and record the new URL, as we'll need this for the configuration setup. Returning to the GCP Cloud Console browser tab, let's open the Cloud Console once again. Use the Upload tool for the Cloud Shell to select the service account JSON file containing the public key and upload it to the bid2x directory within the Cloud Shell. Now that our JSON authentication file is uploaded, let's make a copy of the existing DV360 configuration template and start to edit it. Open the file within an editor and have a look at the configuration file. The first thing we'll do is reduce the number of zones in the zone array. For DV360, each of these effectively maps to a campaign that bid2x is going to create a custom bidding script for. Fill in your campaign ID, advertiser ID, and the ID of a pre-created custom bidding script algorithm. Remember, the placeholder for the custom bidding script needs to be pre-created, but you can enter in a placeholder custom bidding script like just the word return until bid2x updates it with real information. Next, let's set one of the action verbs in this config file to true. In this case, we're going to be using this file as a test to get going, so let's just set action test to true. Also important is to change the service account email string to the string, matching the service account we created earlier. Don't forget to save your work and exit. Now let's bring up the install script in an editor. Scroll down and change the project variable to match the name of your GCP project. Of course, you'll want to change the GCP region and the time zone to match what you need, but for the purposes of this demo video, let's leave them at the default values. We need to make a change in this file is the service account for the install. There is a separate service account and invoker service account, but we just have the one account, so we'll set them both to the same value, which is the email address of the service account we created earlier. Now we need to give the installer information about which config files to use for weekly and daily updates for DV360. Earlier we only made a single config file, so we're going to need to copy that config file into a weekly config and a daily config, and change the action verbs within each one, setting the weekly file to update the scripts and the daily file to just update the control spreadsheet. Additionally, there is a provision for a test config file that uses the test action verb. This creates and deploys a Docker container that uses the config file with a test action, but there is no schedule associated with this job, meaning it is executed on demand. Now we update the installer script so that the weekly, test, and daily config variables point to the correct files. Join us in part 2 of this video, where we'll finish off the configuration and perform the install of bid2x for DV360. See you then!